A few years ago, SpaceX founder Elon Musk approached South African entrepreneur and educator Josh Dahn to teach his children at his own private school, the Ad Astra. Musk's objective was to gamify the education experience and teach his children fundamental skills in problem solving. Today, the Ad Astra model of learning is being scaled up in the form of an amazing online program known as Synthesis, which is looking to reinvent the wheel and bring quality education to every child in the world. In this video, we'll find out more about Synthesis and what it could mean for the future of your children. You see, since Elon became a father, he's been extremely worried about his children not receiving the kind of quality education that would prepare them for the real world. He believes that the current education system is merely an assembly line where children are fed with useless information, something that does not impress him. Dahn, who specializes in working with gifted children and curriculum design, understood Musk's concerns regarding this outdated system, a system that is still being used by governments and states all over the world today. The two gentlemen had an enriching conversation about transforming learning into something more meaningful, and that's how the Ad Astra was born. In this school, there are no grades or age grouping.
Is that there aren't any grades? There's no like not grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 type of thing.
The Ad Astra institution believes that grouping by age does not work because kids possess different aptitudes and interests that can change with time. The school focuses mainly on problem solving rather than learning the tools needed to solve these problems. Because what's the point of learning a tool if you don't understand what the problem is in the first place and how to go about solving it? As the school grew in size, its popularity spread far and wide, especially with families and residents living in California. They began applying with the hope of securing a spot for their children. Word of its accomplishments soon reached the ears of Chrisman Frank, an educational software developer who specialized in educational resources involved in the learning process. At the time, Frank was an engineer with Class Dojo, an app that enhances communication between parents and teachers. He was also involved in a partnership with Stanford's Project for Educational Research that scales. The partnership involved creating a video series regarding the growth mindset concept, which believes in the idea that intelligence, much like physical strength, is acquired over time through practice. The series was watched by more than 10 million kids worldwide. And this got Class Dojo's founders interested in other ideas that they could deliver in such a scale and magnitude. So, about 4 years ago, Sam Choudhary, CEO and co-founder of Class Dojo, had dinner with Josh Dahn. During the conversation, they decided that they would visit the Ad Astra school. Frank was very impressed with what he found, but what blew him away the most was one particular class at the Ad Astra called Synthesis. In this class, students would be engaged in complex and demanding team games. The activities, which were created by Dahn himself, consisted of analyzing simulations, case studies, and game-based challenges. The purpose of this class was to stimulate the students to develop their own problem-solving skills while still making the entire learning process fun. Frank was mesmerized. He'd never seen a group of students so invested and excited about their education.
I'm passing my leadership to Zeke. Zeke, you're not the leader.
So what's going on there?
Well, I assessed the situation because I knew Zeke is better with condensed or under pressure situations, because I used to work with him in constellations, and when there was short of time, he would think of these amazing plans. He's just better with under pressure situations or with louder kids.
But while he was impressed by this class, it also made him very concerned and sad. He knew that he wasn't able to give his children such an immersive learning experience like this. However, a few years later, Frank would finally get his opportunity. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he met up with Dahn, and the two decided it was about time they launched a new education platform that could disrupt the field of education. This new platform would be called Synthesis, like the amazing class he had seen a few years ago. Frank became the CEO and Dahn became the creative director. The objective of this platform was to take what the Ad Astra did with Synthesis and scale it up so that it could become accessible to all students, not just Musk's children and those of SpaceX employees. Josh Dahn also left SpaceX to co-found the Astronova, a virtual institution modeled from the Ad Astra model that had full-time tuition starting at $31,500. This independent school was a scaled-up model of the Ad Astra that offered excellent learning strategies to a larger audience. Parents were able to enroll their children and pay an annual fee, but with all the classes being held online. As for Synthesis, the team hoped it could scale the most intriguing aspects of both the Ad Astra and the Astronova to make it a transformational experience for all kids, regardless of their location in the world. Frank was also concerned about another thing. You see, when he first encountered Synthesis, it was a school solely for Elon's kids as well as other kids whose parents were working at SpaceX. The question is, how would average kids respond to the program if it was put right in front of them? Would they find find it too complex? What Frank quickly discovered was that the synthesis program wasn't complex at all. Other kids from all walks of life enjoyed it as well, just as much as the Ad Astra children. So Dahn and Frank were inspired to make synthesis an online platform. Admissions, which Dahn still has to undertake at Astronova, were something that Frank and Dahn didn't want to include in synthesis. You see, there's just no way to make informed decisions when admitting hundreds, potentially thousands of children at a time. You might be accepting 1 in 20 or maybe 1 in 50, but all in all, you're still going to make mistakes. In its essence, admissions are simply excluding people based on the recruiter's judgments, so Frank and Dahn didn't want that to be the case with synthesis. However, synthesis currently has an application process, but they eventually hope to open the platform to any parent looking to give their children this unique educational experience. Presently, classes at synthesis are once a week for 1 hour at a price of $180 per month. With time, they hope that this model of education will become popular and something that children can engage with on a regular basis. Similar to the Ad Astra and the Astronova, the synthesis program will not rely on age segregation and grades, nor does it provide courses in differentiated subjects. As Frank says, the synthesis program will remain true to its roots by creating fields of knowledge that foster teamwork and problem solving. Because that's what Frank believes is the key to getting things done in this world. There's no reward for being the best engineer. You have to fit in all these other systems and all these other people. So synthesis gives kids the chance to do all the complex thinking that's missing from the traditional curriculum we grew up with. The online platform strongly believes in one of Socrates' most famous quotes: "Education is not the filling of a vessel, but the kindling of a flame." This is the basis of the Socratic method, which is often considered to be the opposite of the traditional assembly line model of education that most of us went through growing up. In the Socratic method of education, students are put in a classroom, but they go through the education process as a dialogue. They're also involved in team-building activities designed to urge them to confront the unknown. The teacher works hand in hand with the student, instead of teaching them, to find their own way towards certain conclusions and understandings. Since it started, synthesis has distanced itself from the assembly line model and leaned more towards the Socratic model to increase student engagement and success. These efforts have largely focused on Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, which states that there are different types of intelligence that can be learned. Another proactive principle of synthesis is the constructivist approach, which states that learning is an actively involving process of constructing knowledge and meaning. Teachers are required to build on what the students already know. And lastly, synthesis uses the gatekeeper concept, which believes that assessment should move away from the simple pass and fail structure and become more diagnostic. Besides promoting student engagement, synthesis also spearheads advancements in modern technology by making learning more hands-on, more distributed, and super fun. It also ensures that the learning experience is not limited to a physical space. Ana Lorena Fabrega, an educational entrepreneur who is one of the newest recruits at Synthesis, describes the education process at Synthesis as follows. Imagine a virtual playground where kids get to make tough decisions and develop the instincts and cognitive tools and collaboration skills to deal with complexity, all while having a blast. Because learning can and should feel like playing a fun game. Jessica Ann Bogart, an educator and facilitator who recently joined Synthesis and is responsible for media relations, was also positive about the learning experience. She currently teaches 4 classes at Synthesis. Miss Bogart went on to describe how the educational philosophy at the institution was one of a kind. A typical class environment consists of putting students into team games with very minimal instructions beforehand. The children then have to use their problem-solving skills and powers of observation to figure out what the game is all about. In the meantime, the teacher will monitor the students and ensure that they stay on task. Once the task is completed, their teacher will guide them towards having a discussion about it afterward. For example, students will join a Zoom call with Ms. Bogart. At the beginning of the Zoom call, most students will be nervous and anxious about getting the right answers. Right away, Ms. Bogart assures the students that Synthesis is not like a regular school. There are no grades involved, and that the students are not going to be split up based on their age. Immediately, the students loosen up and they participate more. As Ms. Bogart declares, Synthesis is a community of problem solvers. It's a platform where students can try new things without being shunned, a place to experiment regardless of failure or success, and overall, a hub to learn, to share, and to laugh. Perhaps this is the kind of education model we should be providing our children with today. Let us know what you think in the comments section down below. We hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to get more enriching content in the tech world. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, welcome to the future.